We have to invite your parents. It's like when the Russians boycotted the Olympics. It diminished the whole event. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Special episode this week. It's Thanksgiving here in the U.S., but we're here and we're going to talk about Jason was at an F1 race. He took a bunch of pictures. Mark Gurman says Tim Cook's not leaving that quickly. All the different AI shopping tools like from ChatGPT and Perplexity, plus voice and text mode in ChatGPT. OpenAI is talking about its upcoming hardware. We have a special holiday gift guide and a ton more. This episode is brought to you by Masterclass and Claude Code and all of you, the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, and back in the studio, my friend Jason Nathan. How's it going, Jason?
I'm so glad to be back. I know I say that every time I'm gone, but I was gone 2 weeks in a row. Like I was literally gone for almost 2 entire weeks. So
you went home for like a day or something.
I was home. We got home on, I think Saturday, and I left again Tuesday night. Is that right? Something
that's
like
a quick
that.
turnaround.
So, yeah,
that is a quick turnaround.
So, after being out of the country for a week.
But you got some great photos, including of some famous people that we're going to talk about. We can talk about soon because it's just funny to get these random photos in the evenings. But listen, pins, real quick. Our pins go off sale Friday. This Friday, Black Friday. The pin sales will close until further notice. And if you wanted a pin, we need you to go run and get it. I think we've sold about 100, which is halfway to the goal. So we need 100 of you to go and get some pins. I still get photos of pins in the wild, which is wonderful. Steve Penny sent me this photo on Threads, and he got the OG pin, the original pin. And then I'm also getting pins here. This was, I forget, I didn't write down the name, but this was another great shot of the pin on my shortcut hat. Thank you very much for that. But pins are out there. There's a link in the description to get it. You get $5 off, $7 a pin. So go grab a pin. And also, we're like 4 reviews away from being a 5-star podcast. No, not 5 stars.
Did you do the math? How'd you figure that out, Steve?
Sorry. We're 4 reviews away from having 400 5-star reviews, which maybe we're close to 5 again. But I want to thank Sam E. from the USA. He says we're one of his favorite shows and says I'm the eternal optimist and Jason the realist on the show. Which I think that's right.
I can't tell if that's a compliment for both of us or...
I think so.
He says his exact quote was, Jason sprinkles in dashes of realism. And I feel I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
I think that's good. All right, Jason was at the huge F1 race in Las Vegas. I see clips of that race like around social media or whatever. I saw another creator, Nikias Molina, and I was like, Jason's there too. He's somewhere in that crowd. I don't know. Did you see? There. I also saw a clip of the big sphere, like looking at the racetrack. Did you see that?
Yep. I didn't end up going over to the sphere, but you can see it from pretty much everywhere, including from my hotel room, which meant I had to shut the blinds completely because otherwise that thing was just looking at me all the time. And it's weird to wake up and see that.
Do they turn it off at night?
No, it's on all night long.
And it's bright, right?
It's super bright.
Wow. It's like did you watch Seinfeld?
Yeah, I've seen some.
Do you ever see the KFC or the fried chicken place episode where Kramer, like the red light from the chicken place is shining in his bedroom? And anyway, that was a funny episode.
Yeah.
Jason sent me random photos. I'll use some as the chapter artwork if you're listening, but if you're on YouTube, you should see some of these. Jason will send me random photos while he was in Las Vegas at the F1 race like this, which is
the back of my camera taking a picture of Jay-Z and Beyonce.
I was like, okay, wait a minute. Jason, he's over here hobnobbing. I told him to try and get a selfie with Beyonce, but apparently that was...
I don't think anybody got a selfie, except for Lewis Hamilton, but that's different.
Sure. And then, so tell me, this is where you were at the F1 race.
Yeah, so this is the paddock, right? Okay. To the left is where the Paddock Club is, where like the fancy suites are and that kind of stuff. So if on the other side of that building to the left is the pit. And then to the right is what they call the hospitality suites. So you can't actually see any of the team ones in this photo, but if you were to continue going down back, that's where all the teams have their hospitality suites. And in the middle there is the gate. And that's the gate that all the drivers and all the famous people come through. And so that's the gate that Jay-Z and Beyonce, Travis Scott, I got a photo of him, didn't know who it was. Took pictures because this is what I mean. There was like so many famous people that were apparently famous that I just didn't know who they were. There was some football players are tough because you don't typically see football players without their helmet on. Right. And so some of them you don't recognize. If it's not like when there's Magic Johnson was there.
Magic Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows Magic Johnson. So yeah. And then there's a bunch of drivers and yeah.
So Jason, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but Sony sent you some stuff to take with you on this trip, right?
Yeah. So Sony had sent me with the Alpha 1 Mark II, which is their flagship camera, top of the line, 50. I don't know the specs off the top of my head. Before I write about it, I'll get them. But it's like their flagship. Amazing. They sent me with a couple lenses, and it was insane. I mean, I am not a Sony shooter, but I really enjoyed it, partially for two reasons. One, those super high res images were insane, which the really the nice thing, especially in an environment like this, is if you have a photo that's like 50 megapixels, you can crop it any way you want, right? And still get a great shot. Also, the burst mode on it, completely insane, Steven. Like, I would hold my finger down on the shutter and I'd look down and it's taken like 75 photos. And I'm like, what just even happened? You want to know how many photos I have of Beyonce? Like, no joke. Probably 120. Like,
from that
and
one
it
moment?
took 2.5 seconds. Yes.
That's wild.
It was like ridiculous.
This photo of Magic Johnson, I mean, that looks like Time cover style. I mean, he'd probably like to have that photo, honestly. And this is a photo of an F1 car on the track.
Yep, that's Lewis Hamilton on the track. Wow. That was during qualifying. It was real dark and moody and rainy during qualifying.
Sure.
So I just did a lot of testing with it. It was kind of crazy. I had a media pass, so I was able to just you can't take photos in an F1 race without a media pass. Like, you can't bring a camera as a spectator. You can have your phone and take photos with your phone, but you cannot.
They won't let you bring like a Sony camera into the stands?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Not at all. Nope. They're very, very protective of those intellectual property rights and that kind of stuff. So, but as a member of the media, I was able to just walk right along the fence on the inside, like not on the inside of the track, but in the track area along the course, right next to the fence. And they have little photographer windows that you can take. Yeah, this is insane.
This is Jason walking along the track.
Yep. And you'll see a car go by in a second and you can see exactly how close.
Jason could not get any closer. Could not get in. That's crazy. That is crazy.
You could feel it, Steven. Like,
oh my word.
It's like, yeah.
So my question to you was about ear protection, but you said you used AirPods Pro 3.
Yep, I just used AirPods Pro 3. I just used those with noise cancellation, and they were incredible. Like, they did exactly what they needed to do. My watch kept telling me it was loud, and my ears were like, it's fine. I got AirPods. It's no problem.
That's pretty sweet.
And I would say they were probably better than just wearing like foam earplugs, to be perfectly honest, because they're actively canceling noise, right? So they're reacting. And the nice thing about them was, compared to wearing like foam earplugs, is when I needed to talk to someone, I just pressed them and it was in transparency mode so I could talk to somebody, Right.
Now, you also said before in the pre-show, which you can get access if you support the show at join.primarytech.fm, you said on the plane, which you have flown lots with all kinds of AirPods, 3s over 2s when it comes to noise canceling?
Oh, definitely. In fact, I had my really nice Bowers & Wilkins PX7s or whatever these are.
Years, yeah.
But I wore them at the beginning, and I'm like, I'm putting the AirPods back in. They're better, significantly better on a plane for the noise cancellation. Listen, when I put in something for noise cancellation, I want to be dead to the world. Like, I don't want to hear. I don't want there to be anything. I want it to just be like I'm in a vacuum of sound, a sound vacuum.
I don't want to hear the plane going down. I just want it just to disappear.
A Cone of Silence. What movie is that from? You didn't even ask me where the movie quote was from. It's
my goodness.
It's Wedding Crashers, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not. No, I cheated because it's not from a movie. It's from a TV show. But it's one that you mention every time I mention TV shows. We have to invite your parents. It's like when the Russians boycotted the Olympics. It's about Thanksgiving from a TV show that you mention every time.
From the West Wing?
No.
Friends?
No. It is.
What is it from?
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Wait, it's not from Wedding Crashers?
No, it's from Everybody Loves Raymond.
I feel like there's an Owen Wilson quote of that. We need to look this up.
All right, you look it up while you do that. But I'm also going to share. I'm going to link Jason's Instagram in the show notes because he posted a bunch of photos there. But so that Sony A1 was used to take all like the famous people photos and stuff.
Yes.
But then you took photos of the actual race, not with the $10,000 camera or whatever, but your iPhone.
Yes.
And so this is an iPhone photo.
I just decided I would have just tried this to see if I can photograph an F1 race with just an iPhone. It actually did a really good job, to be perfectly honest with you. There's a couple... F1 is interesting because, they go really fast.
They go fast.
Which makes it harder to capture action shots without
They're going fast and left. Did you ever see that video?
No.
There's a guy who's like super drunk at a race, and someone interviews him, and he's like, "Those cars are going fast. They're fast and left."
But they do. They go very, 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 very fast. And according to IMDb, there is a quote from Wedding Crashers. We have to invite your parents. It's like the Russians boycotting the Olympics. But unless the movie quotes are wrong. But anyway.
All right, I'll have to read it.
It's all good.
So we'll have a follow-up.
Also, Google could be lying to me. But anyway, going back to this. So I took photos with the iPhone of the race. Someone asked me on Threads, like, what about the shutter speed? Yep, that's a problem. And you can control shutter speed in third-party apps like Halide, however you say it. The problem is then you're limited to 12-megapixel photos, which I did not want. You don't get to take the 48-megapixel images and do that. Also, like, Halide make incredible photos. If you want to shoot them, like, in RAW, it's pretty slow, right? You don't get a lot of options and stuff. Also, the other thing you and I talked about, I could not figure out how to turn on burst mode. So I'm just literally standing there with the camera control trying to do this as fast as I can, which I got that opening sequence and it worked out really well. And I got a couple of other really great photos. One of the things about F1 is the fact that you don't necessarily want to shoot an image with the highest shutter speed because then you don't get the sense of speed, right? You don't get a little bit of motion blur is great. There was another photo that I posted at some point. I can't remember. That I thought was like a perfect representation of that it was a little bit blurry, but it gave you the sense of speed of the car moving. And in that case, it's fine, but you do want to be able to capture sharpness, that kind of thing. And the iPhone does make it harder to do that because it's like, you don't get the same kind of control that you'd like to have. I don't know, Steven, how do you do burst mode on the iPhone now?
So when you mentioned that, I identified strongly because there was something I don't know if it was like a kid's football game or whatever, but I wanted to do burst mode, and I hadn't done it since iOS 18 or whatever. And so in the redesigned camera app, there's nowhere where there's just like burst mode. And you can't, it used to be you tap and hold on the shutter button in the camera app, and that was burst mode.
Right.
But now if you do that, like
it takes video.
It takes video. So what you have to do, and I'm going to try and show on the video, you have to either slide down or left, depending on the orientation of your phone. But if you tap and hold and then drag down, now I'm in burst mode, and you can see the number climbing up. And then if you are in portrait, holding your phone vertical, now it's zooming in. Not great. Anyway, you have to do left. No, that's video is that way. This way is burst mode. I don't think it's great. I honestly think holding the shutter button was a better way to trigger burst mode.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Anyway, left or down is the direction. You have to tap and slide over on the shutter button with one fell swoop, and then you can do it. And
I think I was doing it left and down, but in the opposite orientations, so it was taking video.
That's the thing. Yeah, like it's not. I don't think that's great. But anyway, so you sent me one more photo.
This was an example of where the iPhone is actually great because the car you get the sense of motion and the movement from the car.
Yeah.
So
that was the iPhone photo.
That's an iPhone photo. Yeah.
Was that 4X?
Yep.
Probably. Yeah,
yep.
That's pretty nice. 4X lens, I gotta say.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, the 8X actually did a fantastic job as well.
Yeah.
You don't get quite, obviously, the same amount of crop options because it's a lower resolution overall photo, right? So you can't like do quite as much. But again, I was basically thinking, Apple should hire me to just take iPhone photos at F1 races next year since they have the series, the TV rights. So,
I know.
So if there's someone from Apple listening, listen, seriously, reach out to me. I will go to all the races. Well, I won't go to all of them because like the next 2 weeks are in Qatar and Abu Dhabi, and I'm not going there. But I'll go to like a bunch of them, especially the 3 in the US, the 1 in Canada, the 1 in Mexico, and just take iPhone photos.
That's it. Is there one in Miami?
Yep, Miami next year. Yep, Miami, Austin, and Vegas.
The one in Miami, we got to go to.
We should go. Absolutely, you're so close.
When is that? Is that like early
next
year?
It's in
May 4th. the day after my anniversary is May 3rd. All right, we'll make it an anniversary trip.
Can't wait. I can't wait to celebrate your anniversary with you, Steven.
With F-Way. Well, I'll bring my wife too.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But I'll put it. So Jason wrote an article about not the camera yet. The camera article is forthcoming, but just about the F1 race and how notably a lot of tech companies were there. It's strangely Apple was not.
Yeah, I didn't see Eddie Q. I promised I'd get a selfie with Tim Cook if I saw him. I did not see him. Two things. I think this was the second. I also wrote about Lego because that was one of the reasons I was there. They announced a partnership. Lego is actually going to have a car on the F1 Academy grid. They're sponsoring a car. Now, it won't be made out of Legos, just to be clear. It'll just they designed the livery.
Epic.
The F1 Academy cars are F4 cars, so they go a lot slower, but still too fast for it to be made out of Lego, if you can just imagine. But anyway, there was two reasons for writing this article. I did find it interesting that Apple wasn't there, although it's not that surprising because Apple doesn't do something until they're ready to do something. But it was just weird. It's like ESPN is everywhere. Paramount Plus was everywhere, and Paramount Plus doesn't have any rights to any F1 stuff, but they were like the streaming partner or whatever. And I didn't see any Apple anything. And the other reason for writing this is I got to put a bunch of the photos that I took in it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's good enough reason. Good enough reason. We'll link that article in the show notes, and if you were listening, I'll put a bunch of silent chapters and change photos throughout. But that's very cool. All right, so we actually do have some tech news here on Thanksgiving week. This actually happened on Friday, of course, or late Thursday after we recorded, of course. But AirDrop is actually on Android now, like legit AirDrop. It is only for the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro, but Quick Share, which is the Android feature, can now see iPhone and vice versa. If you're on iPhone, you can see an Android or a Pixel 10 right now, supposedly coming to more Android phones after that, to actually AirDrop. And so I literally, because this is what I do, literally got a Pixel 10 on Amazon just to try. Just to try it. I'm going to make a video.
I would have sent you one, Steven. I have two of them. I have a fold and I have a regular one.
Well, I mean, if you still want to send me one, I'm going to return this one because I'm not.
Well, I mean, I have to return it too. I'm just saying, if all you wanted to do is test it, I could have sent it to you.
Also, Pixel 10, like, solid phone. It's good hardware.
Absolutely.
Really good hardware.
Is that the 10 Pro or just the 10?
Well, I got the 10 Pro when I did like MagSafe testing with it, but this is just the regular 10. But the regular 10 feels great too, and it was on sale on Amazon. This was like less than $600 or whatever.
Nice.
Which is a crazy deal because it's a great phone. But I did get it. The caveat is you have to have AirDrop for everyone turned on. It doesn't work with contacts only because that's iCloud type whatever between the iOS devices. So it has to be shared to everyone, both on the Pixel and the iPhone. But once you do that, you can send photos, you can send files like audio files in MP3. I tested PDFs and larger files. All of it works. It'll go to the downloads folder on your Android phone. It'll go to the downloads folder on your iPhone, or I don't think it goes directly to the Photos app, but this is why I'm going to make a video about it, because there are some like weird quirks. And like one of the things I tried doing was load a PDF in Chrome on the Pixel, like a manual for something. And if I tried to quick share that, it sent it in like a .mht format, which the iPhone couldn't read. So I had to download the PDF and then share. So I'm going to share some of the idiosyncrasies in a video. But the fact that it's possible and it just works, and Apple did nothing to allow this, but Google figured it out. Wow. Do you think Apple's going to shut this down?
Okay. I think okay. This is tough because I was listening to, and it was either Ben Thompson on one of his podcasts, either Dithering or Sharp Tech, or it was the Vergecast. I don't remember, so I apologize for not. I had a lot going on at the time. I was listening to podcasts as I'm walking around an F1 track sometimes.
Things moving fast.
So, but they were talking about like, there's almost no chance that Apple didn't know about this. And that if Apple didn't know about it, it's because Google didn't know about it because the Android team just did it. But that with the relationship between Google and Apple right now, it almost seems like 100% that someone gave them at least a heads up. Hey, this is coming.
They're getting real buddy-buddy. Apple and Google getting real buddy-buddy.
But I don't think Apple's happy about it at all. I think this makes them super mad. They don't want them to be doing this. And one of the reasons I think that you can tell that that's true is Google like specifically was like, it's okay. We did the security stuff. Apple, don't freak out. It's going to be fine. Don't use that as a reason to kill this. We did it. We did it. Like we promise you this is safe and secure. And I think Google's 100% right. Like, I think that's true. I think Google wouldn't have done this in a way that left Apple any reason to kill it. Right. Other than screw you guys, you're not supposed to be backwards engineering our stuff kind of thing. I think Apple really would like to kill it, but they definitely should not. I sent you a link to my article, which basically says, yes, there's always a chance this will stop working because Apple could figure out a way to just kill this. They could change like a line of code probably that would mess this up, right? Or swap out some protocol. But Apple definitely shouldn't, because this makes using an iPhone better.
Makes using it better. It's, all the times you're at conferences or traveling or whatever and you want to share something. I mean, the fact that this works cross-platform would be amazing. Again, it's only Pixel 10 right now, not even older Pixels. So hopefully it rolls out.
But it's coming. Quickly. Google has said they're going to make it. And it's going to eventually just be a part of Android, which means it's going to be on Samsung phones, which means Apple's going to be real, real mad. But Steven, I am shocked by the number of married couples where one person uses a Android device and one person uses an. I have some friends who this is true, and I actually asked them a month or so ago, how do you do this? And their answer was, I don't let him take photos. I just take all the photos of the kids. But the point now is now she could just AirDrop the photos to her husband, because they can just do this. And because texting photos between Android and iOS is the worst.
Even with RCS,
it is the worst.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, if you're going to do one on Android, one on iPhone, I would say just use Google Photos on the iPhone.
Absolutely.
And that's a better way to do it.
Yep.
But in the Google press release, they do say, quote, "We built this with security at its core, protecting your data with strong safeguards that were tested by independent security experts."
Yeah.
It does seem like they're really and they have a whole blog just about the security of the AirDrop feature.
Yeah, they're like, Apple, sit down. It's fine. We promise it's fine. This is not, if you're going to kill it, it's going to have to be for a different reason than this. The only window I think is that Apple could argue that it is a security risk because you have to turn on AirDrop for everyone for 10 minutes.
Sure.
What are the odds that a friend is going to walk up to you with an Android phone, conspiring with a hacker who's going to send you weird nude files or something like that during that 10-minute window?
Or a weird PDF that somehow breaks or whatever.
I mean, the reason Apple did this is because people used to AirDrop photos and weird stuff on planes or stuff like that, where everybody's on the same network. Right. And they changed it well, great, we'll make it so you can do everyone for 10 minutes. Listen, that's a pretty short window of time. I mean, Apple could solve it by making it a 3-minute window.
Yeah, I feel like 10 minutes is good. Just leave it at 10 minutes. Don't touch it again.
Yeah.
And you can also just, because I'm wearing my Create New Shortcut shirt, you can actually create a shortcut that automatically sets AirDrop to everyone for 10 minutes if you want to put it in a widget or something, just to make it easier. But anyway, it's there, AirDrop on Android and iPhone. I'm going to do a video about it soon. And now, last week we talked a lot about Tim Cook and whether or not he's leaving next year. That was a Financial Times report saying that Tim Cook could resign as early as next year. And then in Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter this past Sunday, he was like, nah, Financial Times is wrong and probably not leaving anytime soon. So I just thought it was interesting, Gurman wanted to put in his 2 cents, be like, no, not happening soon. And I don't know who to trust more. Obviously there's different sources here. I don't think Financial Times would have just made it up, but curious that it's very different stories from two reputable people.
If you think about it, Gruber made a really good point that if for the Financial Times to have put multiple bylines and cited multiple sources, those sources had to basically be board members. And the only reason those board members, because who else would know about this, right? The Financial Times is not going to be like, we heard from a junior software engineer that Tim Cook is retired. They wouldn't know. That would not be a justifiable source. And so those board members wouldn't have said something unless people wanted it out into the world.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask. So this is talked about sometimes when a rumor is leaked from Apple that maybe this is seeded, whereas Apple is actually testing the waters. And if that's the case, would Apple test it 2 different ways? Give the Financial Times some information and then Gurman different information?
Well, and the point that I was going to make is, if Gruber's right, and these sources must have been board members, because that's the only sources that, if Al Gore calls up the Financial Times, they're probably going to check it, but be like, this seems pretty reliable.
Sure.
Then the question you have to ask is, who are Mark Gurman's sources?
Right.
Are they also board members? And it's actually interesting that Gurman would respond, because if you think about it, Gurman is essentially revealing the level of the sources he has. If he's willing to say, I don't think this is true, I think the Financial Times is just wrong. Like he literally
That's
says
wild.
they're just wrong.
Yeah.
I happened to talk to somebody who is from the Financial Times, not specifically about this because Gurman's thing didn't come out until Sunday, but they were pretty confident about it. Let me just say that. Like they
You
were
spoke
pretty
to someone there.
Yeah, at the Financial Times who
Okay.
who I don't believe was bylined on the article.
Okay.
I will say that. But in general, the Financial Times was pretty confident about their reporting. So it is kind of interesting. Also, last thing I'll say about this. Gurman doesn't say that it's not happening for like 6 years. He just says it may not happen as early in 2026 as it was suggested, which is after the next earnings report, but before any of the events. If you look at what Gurman said, I think he just said it was like later in the year. Like, I don't think he is necessary. It's kind of a weird splitting of hairs there, but like, I don't think Gurman is necessarily suggesting it's going to be 2028.
That's Gurman's style too, because even with like product leaks, he'll be like, M5 MacBook Pro could be as soon as, and then it's like, and even I posted yesterday, obviously we're not getting a new HomePod or Apple TV 4K this year. Like Apple doesn't release products this late in the year, unless it's like late December and it's the AirPods Max. Like I think that's probably the only product they've released that late, or like the Mac Pro. But that was like pre-released, it was announced at WWDC and then you could pre-order it in like December of that year. So this late in the year, we're not getting a new HomePod mini. We're not getting Apple TV 4K, but it was reported by like Mark Gurman, 9 to 5 Mac Rumors, that like new HomePod mini was imminent because stock was low. It's out of stock at Best Buy and Apple stores. And everybody's like, it's imminent. New HomePod mini coming as soon as this week. Obviously, it did not come. And so, but that's something Gurman does a lot, where he's quote unquote leaking something, but it is phrased in a way that once it doesn't happen, people can't say like, well, he said it was coming out in October. Like you'll never hear or see Gurman write like new HomePod mini coming November. Like he just doesn't say that kind of stuff because then it pigeonholes him into actually being proven wrong if it doesn't come out.
Well, and the last thing I'll just say about this is that, like, again, so we talked about that last week. Where like what they said is as early as 2026. And we're like, that's infinity. Like the entire timeline of Tim Cook's life is after the beginning of 2026. So like this actually doesn't say anything, but they were implying that it was going to be early in 2026. And I think all Gurman is really saying is, in his quote was that I don't believe it's going to happen on the timeline that the Financial Times. He says, I would be shocked if Cook steps down in the time frame outlined by the FT. And what he says is he just doesn't think it's going to happen by mid-2026. He doesn't say it's not going to happen next year. Right? He doesn't. He's not even disputing that. But he did. It is interesting because he just said, he says, I don't believe this was a test balloon. I believe the story was simply false. And I'm like, are you saying they're fabulists and they just fabricated the story? Because I don't think the Financial Times would do that.
Right. Sheesh.
Also, this is Bloomberg. This is the publication that published the whole story about the spying thing that was just not true.
Wait, what spying thing?
Gruber talks about this all the time. When there was the story about like the backdoor NSA. What was the story? Hang on. Bloomberg fake. Can I Google this?
Fingerprint reading iPhone scene. No.
The big hack story in 2020 or 2018. They alleged that Chinese spy chips have been planted in motherboards used by major tech companies, and he has questioned the credibility of that many times. Now, that story, I believe, well, it was before before Mark Gurman was there. But the point is that it seemed like the story turned out to be completely false, and Bloomberg has never published any kind of a retraction or correction or anything. So all I'm going to say is like, yeah. So,
and I'm always reminded, we've talked about it before, but like basically Bloomberg's business model of Bloomberg writers are incentivized to write things that move a company's stock price because that's how they are rewarded as writers. And also Bloomberg's biggest like monetization strategy is the Bloomberg Terminal, which is like a $20,000 a year thing that you can get, and you get Bloomberg News slightly faster than everybody else, which if Bloomberg is writing for the intention of moving the stock market and the main thing they sell is a thing that gives you early access to that, it's kind of a flywheel of, I don't know, stock market manipulation and then basically capitalizing on that.
It is a weird incentive structure because, for example, NVIDIA stock like went down a whole bunch yesterday because of a report that Meta was in a discussion about buying Google TPUs. It's like, but you could just say that. I mean, I'm not saying that report's not true, but what I'm saying is if I was incentivized to be paid by moving stock markets,
sheesh,
I can think of a lot of things that would move a stock market, right? Like
Tim Cook stepping down tomorrow.
Or Jensen Huang is hit by a car leaving a coffee shop. Like that would move NVIDIA's stock a lot.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a great incentive structure. Meanwhile, you can't even read Bloomberg articles unless you pay anyway. So it's like,
or if you have a friend who sends you gift links, you're welcome.
That's why I put the 9 to 5 Mac article up, because I still don't pay for Bloomberg. But anyway, all right, a couple of things before we take a break. So Johnny Ive and Sam Altman did an interview with Laurene Powell-Jobs, and they spoke a little bit more about their hardware device, namely that they have their first prototype of a hardware device. They're going to reveal it in 2 years or less. It's another Bloomberg timeline. Okay, 2 years or less. So 2027. And so we're probably not going to see anything next year. They did say it does not have a screen. They said this first prototype, which who knows if the final thing will have a screen or not, but they're saying this prototype doesn't have a screen. It's about the size of a phone, and it's meant to be with you all day, like you would carry it with you along with your other devices. Lots of speculation. We've talked about it before on the show, but I mean, it's got to be something with a microphone that either records constantly, or it's a way to interact with ChatGPT on this device, kind of like a knowledge base everywhere you go. Feels a little bit like the Humane AI pin, where you could just basically ask ChatGPT things wherever you are. Will it provide enough value for people to carry another device? I don't know. I mean, that remains to be seen. And again, 2 years, a lot could happen in 2 years. Apple Intelligence might actually get good in 2 years. Who knows?
I'm not worried about that happening as much as let me just this is interesting.
That was that realism. Did you see that? That was that optimist to the realist comparison.
I would love it. Listen, I'd love it. But I'm just okay.
Yeah.
You threw me
we'll get Gemini voice assistant before we get a great Apple.
That's true. Siri could actually be reasonably good next year based on the white labeling of Gemini. We'll see. Yeah. I will just point out that there's a slight difference in they put a time frame on this. There's again is saying Tim Cook could step down as early as 2026. He could step down in 2030, and that's still accurate because like it's after that point. They're saying they're going to do it in 2 years or less. So they've actually put a deadline, right? 2 years from now, this is going to. But that's also like Apple saying we're going to complete the Apple Silicon transition in 2 years or whatever. And I'm pretty sure they didn't do that, right? Because the Mac Pro didn't get it within that actual window. Maybe they did. Maybe they announced it, but they didn't actually release it. And then they killed the Mac Pro. They just did it so they can say they did it. But so I think this is interesting. I would be really curious if there is a scenario where they can release a device without a screen. Because I'm not sure that the user experience of at least everything. For example, ask ChatGPT a question and then just have nothing happen for like 40 seconds because it's thinking. You need some kind of an interaction to know like what's going on. That's why it says thinking about this, doing this. It shows you the chain of thought, because otherwise you'd be like, hello, hello, is there anybody there? Are you broken? What's going on? So I don't know. I'm not sure that's, and also it is, I want to be open-minded because I do want to be partially realistic and optimistic that there are things beyond the phone. But it is very hard to imagine something better than the phone does feel like it is the perfect form factor for everyday personal carry around computing. And if I had to choose between a bespoke device from ChatGPT or OpenAI and an iPhone that ran ChatGPT, which it does because it's still going to be an app on there, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick the phone every time.
Yeah, and I think about this too, like when I tried all the dumb AI gadgets or whatever. Most people, like to convince people to carry something else, one company managed to convince people to carry something in addition to the phone, and it was Apple, and it was like AirPods.
Or your watch.
And the watch.
Which I've been on record this entire time. The Apple Watch, or a watch would be the perfect AI form factor.
And so I keep thinking like, will we in our lifetime even see another device enter that space where it's like people want to carry this everywhere? The amount of value it would have to provide that the phone doesn't have would be exponential, because like you have said, and we've said on the show, like the ChatGPT app is just on your phone. the Perplexity app is just on your phone. And so what could a bespoke piece of hardware do that your phone could not?
Right.
That is a question that remains to be seen. Can I share a conspiracy theory real quick?
You can, because I have one later. But before you do, I also just want to say the other piece of this is if you're going to carry around a dedicated device like this and trust it to, hey, ChatGPT, do this thing. You have to know that the software is rock solid. And it's just not yet. I depend on it a lot, but I asked it for a bunch of recommendations for gift guide things, and then I check every single one.
We're going to talk about gift guides and AI in a second. So I made a video about the Perplexity Comet app, which is on Android only right now. So it's like the actual AI browser on Android. It does the agentic stuff where it takes control of the website for you. Like pretty wild the stuff it could do on your phone. And towards the end of the video, I wanted to talk about like what the promise was of Apple Intelligence when they announced it, which was WWDC 2024. It's a year and a half ago that the smarter voice assistant was announced. So I went back and actually watched the part of the keynote that talks about Apple Intelligence. And I just want you to see this moment again, because when it was delayed, when Apple said the smarter Siri is not coming yet, there was some speculation or reports from internal employees at Apple that the voice assistant team didn't even know this was going to be demoed. And they were showing features that they had no idea they were supposed to, hadn't built yet, didn't exist yet. And so I had that in my mind, and I was like, if that is true, that means, did they ever show the phone actually doing something during the keynote? Because when Craig Federighi talks about it, it's a lot of overlays and basically just the cutout of a phone on a white background, and it does some things. But there is a moment when they show the phone doing some stuff that it, even now, a year and a half later, cannot do. And so there's this moment where it's talking about App Intents and Apple Intelligence, invokes Siri, asks about the mom's flight, and you see that little notification come down, and then they ask a follow-up question. And this is not something the voice assistant in the iPhone can do right now. Apple Intelligence doesn't do this. And they show this in the keynote. These moments where she is holding the phone and asking us to do it, do you think, this is my conspiracy, that this is just like a video that they are playing on the phone screen and she is acting like she's holding the side button and doing that? Because this didn't exist. The voice assistant team didn't know about this announcement and hadn't worked on these features. This has not been in any beta since. And this was showing off iOS 18. This dub was talking about iOS 18, not even 26. I feel like this moment in the keynote where they show the phone and it doing stuff that still is not actually on the phone, it must have been some kind of video or render, or maybe they did it in post-production. But I feel like they just made a video and played it and filmed it as though it were real. What do you think?
What do I think? This was the crux of Gruber's whole thing. But I think I think there's two possibilities. One is I think that they had a version of the software that was just capable of doing a chain of things. I mean, so the software was actually doing something, but it wasn't Apple Intelligence in the background surfacing this information,
it wasn't doing it
presenting
live.
It was the software was capable of following a train of thoughts.
Show this notification after I invoke something.
Yes, and I've been through demos which feel like that. Not necessarily with Apple, but I'm just saying well, actually the original Vision Pro demo was very structured, and it was doing something in response to stuff, but it was very on rails. You could not go do other things. It was okay, now we're gonna look at the dinosaur, and now we're gonna see this, and now we're gonna do that. This was the original Vision Pro demo that I did at WWDC. The other option to this would be that the software was capable of doing a very limited series of things, and it was actually doing this live, but that it was only capable of doing it because it had been seeded the right information, but it's not able to go and find that information, right? So I don't know that they would just literally make a computer generated video and put it on there. That feels really risky for Apple to do that. They had so much writing on this. The interesting thing is, didn't they make a change? A lot of companies will do this when they're showing a demo that's not an actual live demo. They're showing a concept of how it will work. They'll say simulated. This sequence is that one robot thing. It's this sequence is simulated. It can't actually do this, right? That kind of thing.
Right.
And there was only two things where it's robot can actually do this.
Well, this section of the keynote from a year and a half ago, they talked about a bunch of things that it would be able to do. And if you pause it. So this is like some of the examples. Well, they'll show it's like the phone on a white background, and this is obviously a video because no one's using the phone. This is like a concept almost. And then they go on to show like all the in-app actions that you can do. And this is in the app intents section. And if you pause it on this frame right here, it's showing like, show me my hotel reservation for my Boston trip, that you should be able to ask the voice assistant that, and it would just do it. Or add this photo to the email I drafted to these people, which is that on-screen contextual awareness that they're claiming Apple Intelligence would have. To be clear, still does not have that. Like, this is not something that you can do right now. And then I don't know if she says like we're going to demo this or whatever, but they go from the white screen with the phone overlaid to her saying, like, when she talks about app intents, to quote unquote demoing it.
Yeah. Well, and the insane thing is that both Superhuman and Spark can just do that. I can literally type into those email apps, show me my hotel reservation for Boston, and it'll 100% do that. I did this like twice. This was insane. I did this with Superhuman 2 times when I was in Portugal, and I decided, okay, well, I'm going to take some meetings on Wednesday. I literally just typed into it, who has asked me about my availability for Wednesday that I don't already have something booked for? I just typed in that question, and it showed me all the emails of people saying I have availability on Wednesday, and I was able to just pick the ones I wanted to meet with. And then the same thing is true. Like, I can ask it all kinds of questions, like simple questions about like what time. I can ask my email app. I don't even have to go to like the Delta app. What time does my flight leave tomorrow? Or what time is it? Like, when did this flight get changed for? I can ask it all of those types of questions, and I just do that. I did it. I'm working on a like Black Friday gift guide type article. And so I just went through, I typed into Superhuman, show me all of the Black Friday deals that have been sent. And it just pulled up every single email from someone who's like, here's a product you should look at. Here's a deal we're offering. Here's a whatever. So like I got Nomad and Totally Cases and all these like, Sonos and all these places. I don't understand how Spark, which is a very small team, it's like, I don't know, 10, 7, 8 people or whatever. And Superhuman is a couple hundred people.
Right.
They can do that. This is Apple. They're a $4 trillion company. Why can't they just surface that from my email? I don't understand.
I don't know. And I will say, so in this keynote, I have the captions live on here if you're watching on YouTube. She says, I want to show you one more demo that will give you a sense of this personal context with it actually reaching into your email, your text, and all of that and doing it. So they call it a demo in the keynote. And so just... it'd been a while since I watched it, and so I just think my conspiracy theory is in this particular moment, because even Craig Federighi, when he's talking about Apple Intelligence, he's never like holding a phone and actually quote unquote doing a demo. It's like these floating windows next to him, and he's just talking about it, and it's just doing things. So there's no phone actually like doing those operations. He never holds a phone and they film over his shoulder kind of stuff. But this other demo, which they use the word demo in it, my conspiracy theory is this is just some kind of like video or done in post-production, or like maybe Jason said, like a very direct, like show this notification when this is asked, but not actually doing Apple Intelligence live. That's my theory. I just want to share that because
appreciate that.
I feel like the guy in the what is it with the stuff on the the thumbtacks and the red string, you know what I mean, with the conspiracy
Beautiful
theory.
Mind. Yeah.
Well, no, but there's the meme of the guy from is it Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Is that the guy?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That I feel like that gif. All right. One more thing before we take a break. Someone asked me on social media, "Hey, does Jason use Flighty?" And I knew when that person asked me that this was coming out, but I didn't want to say anything. I was like, just watch Jason's feeds because Jason's literally interviewed the maker of Flighty.
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Jones last week, and they were. I just want to say up front, I don't know if Ryan listens to this podcast, but he was very gracious because I had to reschedule like 7 times, so I appreciate him doing that. It was like, oh, let's do it this time, and then I was like, I'm not going to be home by then because my flight got delayed. Oh, let's do it this time. I'm not going to land in time. Like it was kind of insane, and they were very gracious about it. But I had been looking forward to this conversation because one, I use Flighty constantly. You can, if you scroll down a little farther, you can see I have like 500 flights that I've tracked in Flighty. So like I've used a lot of Flighty. Okay,
500,000 miles, Jason.
Just in Flighty, I have more miles than that I've flown, but that's just since I've been tracking flights in Flighty. So anyway, I just was like, I wanted to talk to him about it, but the reason was Flighty was everywhere a couple weeks ago during the government shutdown when the FAA required airlines to reduce flights, and so there was all these delays and all this stuff, and they did a great job of marketing, and they kind of blew up, which is great. They were in the Wall Street Journal, wrote a piece about it, and I was like, well, I want to write about like I had this assumption that Flighty was not his first app, and the crazy thing about Ryan is he's not even a developer. He's not a code. He doesn't write code, I guess I should say, but he had an idea based on a real world experience that he had. You should read the article. It tells the whole story. And what he did is he made it super accessible for people. I love that they had a product just waiting to fill a need at the time when people needed it. And so my Flighty's been around since 2019, but his first app he did in 2013. And that is what prepared him to like be ready to jump on this opportunity. And I didn't say this in the article, but when I was talking to him, it felt a lot like David Smith when Widget Smith blew up, because he had written David Smith. I did interview him when Widget Smith blew up and wrote an article about it. The point is he had written like 50 apps before that. Yes. So when he saw that Apple was like, oh, we're going to allow all the widgets, he's like, boom, I got it. This is going to be my thing. And he had like 50 million downloads like within a couple weeks. It's like insane. And he couldn't have predicted that his app was going to go viral because of TikTok. But the point is he was there and he was ready, and it's the same thing's true with Flighty. There's no way to predict that like airlines were going to have to shut down 40% of their flights because of like a government shutdown. But when they did, they were just on top of it. And so it was a great interview. I really liked the piece. I recommend people read it, but more importantly, I recommend that if you're going to travel at all, download Flighty. This is the killer thing that he figured out was when we talked a lot about this, and some of it made it into the article, the business model of offering people a 1-week subscription to Flighty. And if you think about it, Stephen, in my opinion, Flighty is literally the only justifiable reason for there to be a 1-week subscription.
100%.
Every other app that offers you a 1-week subscription is a scam. I'm just going to say that equivocally without any like qualifications, that is truth. And in fact, I even said to him, I said, I think that Apple should require an entitlement for 1-week subscriptions. And he's like, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But the point is that way, if you're traveling, you can just pay for Flighty while you're traveling.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's an incredible app. I don't travel as often as you, but I will do the 1-week subscription when I do it. And it is amazing how it like gets you delay and other data before even the airline's own first party app is incredible.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how they do it.
And one of the things that they do really well is they tell you where your plane is. Right. And I had this conversation with him because I said, you know what I love about that is if my flight is delayed and my plane has not arrived at the airport yet, I know that it's like, okay, probably going to go. The plane is just late for some reason. Right. If my plane is there and my flight is delayed, it's either mechanical or crew related, which decreases the chances. Like that's a problem because mechanical, they may not be able to fix it. Crew could time anyway. And he's like, yep, it's super useful. So
yeah, it's awesome. And I'm going to put this in the show notes too, but since you mentioned _David Smith, he actually had an article because it's been 10 or 5 years since his app blew up. And this is _David Smith, the maker of Widget Smith and many other apps, talking about how TikTok changed his life. Widget Smith has had 131 million downloads since its launch 5 years later. And the opening line of his article is 5 years ago, a TikTok video changed my life. And just amazing. Couldn't happen to a better guy. And like, if you go to his apps page, I mean, I don't even know if all the apps that he's ever made is on here, but he makes Pedometer Plus, Sleep Plus. He makes WatchSmith, which I use for complications on the watch. He's got an audiobooks app, and he's made many other apps even before this. But the fact, like, amazing. And also such a weird time in, well, you just never know. I was going to say COVID allowed for this kind of thing to happen _David Smith, but really, like, for Flighty, it wasn't COVID. It was the government shutdown. Like, I talk about this sometimes when people ask about creativity or coming up with new ideas. And a lot of people who don't create regularly feel like they need to wait for lightning to strike for them to have like the idea that's going to blow up. And that's not actually how it works. If you make anything, you write, photographer, video, whatever, the idea is to just make stuff all the time And through a variety of reasons, sometimes totally out of your control, totally unknown, something will happen where lightning strikes and the hard work that you have put in suddenly pays off seemingly out of the blue. And a lot of people will then say, well, _David Smith was lucky. Flighty was lucky because the government shut down. It's like, well, no. These people worked really hard for years, and they made something great, and it has always been great. Flighty has always been great. _David Smith has always made great apps, but it wasn't until something happened that suddenly brought the awareness to a huge group of people that weren't previously aware of the work of these people, these apps, that then causes lightning to strike and something blows up. And so if you are in a industry or you're trying to make things, and some people have suffered from analysis paralysis where they wait till they have seemingly the perfect idea to execute on it and do it. Don't wait. Just start making stuff, start doing stuff, and eventually, sometimes for years, like Flighty's been out for 6+ years, _David Smith's making apps for years, but sometimes something will happen and lightning strikes, and then the hard work that you have done for years pays off. So
yeah, I sent you the link to the interview I did with David Smith. I think since we've talked about it, you should just drop that in there because I think people would really enjoy. This was when it had only had 50 million downloads. But the reason I pulled it up really quickly, so I wrote that in January of 2021. So that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months after iOS 14 had come out, right? He had made 59 apps. 59 apps. Like, that's crazy. And it was the 59th app that he made that had the 131 million. And I use Sleep++. It's a great app. I enjoy it. He makes great stuff, but none of them obviously had the same kind of success as Widgetsmith. But the point is he knew how to make an app. I think his killer skill was seeing a feature that Apple was releasing and being able to do something quickly, right? That's how Pedometer++ happened. That's how like Sleep++ happened. It's how Widgetsmith happened. And I think for Flighty, it was slightly different because because he's not a coder. Ryan was like, this is a real pain point that I have. I have an idea and I know how this should work. I could take this complicated thing and make it simple, and I could find people who know how to do all the other things. And he did it. And in fact, I will say that my conversation with Ryan was one of my favorite interviews I've done. He just is so smart, and he was very good at explaining things. He was really gracious with just telling me like the whole story, which if I would have thought of it in ahead of time, I would have been like, we should record this and release it as something because it was really good. But you're absolutely right. Most overnight success stories are decades in the making. I remember when Queen's Gambit became an overnight success for Netflix. They tried to make that show for 30 years. It's like, so if you're like waiting around for like your moment, you really should just start making things because then you'll be prepared when your moment arrives.
That's the deal. That's the deal. And even like on my YouTube channel, I've made a bunch of videos and nothing hit big. And then when the iPhone 15 came out, I did a whole video just in the USB-C port. I just plugged a bunch of stuff into that port to see what would work. And no one else had done a video like that really, like when the iPhone was around. And I didn't get early access to it. I did it after the phone came out publicly because I didn't get review units or whatever. And that video blew up, and I got like 10,000 subscribers from that. And then I did a follow-up video of exactly the same thing, just plugging more stuff in the USB-C port. But
you found your corner of the internet, Stephen.
for that moment. But I was able to capitalize on that moment because I had been making videos. I had a process. I had some idea of how to like do the thing, edit it, make a thumbnail, and so it is overnight successes are years in the making most times.
Yep.
And so anyway, that's a cool story. So let's take a quick break and then we'll get back and do our gift guide, our choices if you're going to get someone a gift this holiday season, and some other AI shopping news. This episode is brought to you by Masterclass. Now is the perfect time of year over the holidays. Maybe you have a little bit of time and you want to learn something new, or you're just looking for something interesting to watch. Masterclass is where you need to go. I've watched several Masterclasses over the years. I've watched some with my spouse. You could do it on any device, your iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV, and it's a great way to learn something new and expand your horizons maybe into another area. Some of my top Masterclasses was The Art of Negotiation with Chris Voss, read his book, but then watched his Masterclass, and frankly, I preferred that. I felt like I could learn more, I could see him talking, plus I love Hans Zimmer and music scoring. I watched his masterclass, loved that. Yo-Yo Ma, Gordon Ramsay making mashed potatoes. All of those masterclasses are available to you when you sign up for Masterclass. You can learn from the best to become the best with plans starting at just $10 a month. Billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 plus classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs. I also watched Questlove's masterclass on hip hop and history. He was in his studio, looked like with just a bunch of LPs and vinyls around him. It was really cool. So turn your commute or workout session into a classroom with audio mode. You can listen to masterclass lessons anytime, like it's a podcast, like you're listening to this right now. So you can learn wherever you are. And there's no risk. Every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you're headed on a trip, maybe traveling for the holidays, download classes to watch offline and make the most of your travel time. Plus, memberships come with bonus class guides and downloadable content to help you get even more out of each lesson. 83% of surveyed members have applied something they've learned from Masterclass to their lives, and that could be you. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. So head over to masterclass.com/primarytech for the current offer. That's up to 50% off. Masterclass.com/primarytech. The link is in the description. You can click it there, but go to masterclass.com/primarytech. Our thanks to Masterclass for sponsoring this episode. And we're brought to you by Claude and its incredible AI tools, including Claude Code. And now you might have heard on a past episode, I've vibe coded an app and I've used several tools to try and figure out how to do that with little to no developer experience. And Claude Code was the one tool where it felt like it was getting things done, actually fixing bugs, and helping the app actually come to life. Claude Code is a game changer for developers. It works directly in your terminal, understands your entire code base, and handles complex engineering tasks. It even integrates directly with Xcode right now, where it can take control, change your code, look through your files, all of that built in with Claude Code. Claude's internal and external research capabilities also go way deeper than basic web search. Think comprehensive, reliable analysis with proper citations for clients, turning hours of research into minutes. You can connect Claude Code to your professional tools through MCP connectors. That's GitHub, Jira, HubSpot, Notion, Google Workspace, and watch it become your command center with context from all of your work. That makes it even more personalized and useful to your use cases. And Claude Code isn't just another coding assistant, it's at the frontier of agentic coding, combining the latest generation of Claude models with tools specifically optimized for Claude. It can handle project-wide refactors while preserving your coding styles and showing its work, so you maintain full control of the agent. And that's another thing. I tried to use other tools and it would change a bunch of stuff and I wouldn't know exactly what it changed. Made it way harder to fix. Claude Code isn't like that. It shows you the work and it has a 74.5% success rate on real-world coding challenges, and it excels at complex, long-running tasks. So if you're ready to tackle bigger problems, sign up for Claude today and get 50% off Claude Pro when you use our link, claude.ai/primary. That's claude.ai/primary right now for 50% off your first 3 months of Claude Pro. That includes access to all of the features mentioned in today's episode. Claude.ai/primary. Our thanks to Claude for sponsoring this episode. All right, so let's lightning round this because I want to talk about our picks for gift guide. But all the AI tools basically have shopping stuff now. So ChatGPT has a new shopping tool where you can do research, and they're even going to make it where you can buy in ChatGPT, like one click, kind of do it all there. So ChatGPT is doing that. Perplexity also has an AI personal shopper where you can compare prices, things like that. And then I did a video on the Perplexity Comment app. Here's the thing, and I'm curious, Jason, your habits on like using AI tools for holiday shopping, because I'll be doing that over the next few days. But the one thing I do use the AI browsers for is promo codes. Like if there's one use case that these things are good at, because even using ChatGPT and asking for promo codes on a website, it will give you a bunch of promo codes and most of them won't work. And it'll be frustrating to actually manually put it in. It doesn't work. And what an agentic browser like Comet can do, and Atlas can do this as well, ChatGPT's AI browser, it will try the promo codes itself, and if it doesn't work, it will try another one, all without action on your part. And even on the mobile version, Comet can do it. You can leave a tab working, go to another tab and start another task, and it does start to slow down, but it's going to work in the background, and like it will brute force a promo code. Like it will find one that works, and once it actually is accepted, it will stop trying. And so if you use these AI tools for anything this holiday season, I think it's finding promo codes. Like, I'm not going to buy something this year without doing this to see if it could find one. And like 9 times out of 10, it works. So that's going to be my habit. But how do you use AI for shopping?
I really don't. This is gonna be a real short segment.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
I mean, I've used it for like researching. Not even the agentic browsers. Just saying, okay, for these 5 things, find me the best deal you can find. Typically, it's going to be like looking at Amazon, Best Buy, whatever. That's probably where the reasonably best deal is going to be on a lot of things anyway. And so, I'm not asking it like find me promo codes. I'm not, because I'm more like interested in, can I just give people a place where they could go buy this? And I'm not buying it for myself necessarily. So I haven't really got to the point where I'm thinking about buying things for myself. I should actually ask my wife because she does most of the shopping in our family.
You should listen. You should give her a comment, because you could literally create a prompt like, find the best price on this, add it to the cart, and then try promo codes until one works. And it can do that whole chain of actions. Like, you can do the research, find the lowest price, add that thing to the cart on whatever website it's on, and find promo codes for it, all with that one prompt.
I might do that. I may never see her again because my wife will spend between now and Christmas doing that. I mean, early in our marriage, there was a point in time where she couldn't find a $20 bill, and she was terrified that she had thrown it away.
Sure.
We lived in a condo, and we had taken our trash all the way out to the dumpster already. So I had to go look in the dumpster for the trash to find the $20. Turns out it was in her pocket. We won't talk about that part. But what I'm saying is that she will not there was another time when I was a kid that I took our oldest daughter. She was probably 3 at the time, to this grocery store with me. And I was like supposed to get 3 different things. And I was like, I stopped in the candy aisle and grabbed one of those bags of M&M, the family size bags of M's. And my daughter looked at me and she goes, "Is that on the list?" And I said, "No, it's not on the list. It's fine. We'll buy it." And she goes, "Well, is it on sale?" And I was like, "No, it's fine. I'm buying you M&M's. Stop arguing with me." She goes, "Well, do you have a coupon for it?" And I was like, "No, seriously, you're getting M&M. Why are you?" She goes, "Mom's going to be so mad."
Wow. Calling you out.
Yeah, it was brutal. So my point is, I should tell my wife. I just might not see her again.
Well, the nice thing is, the agentic side.
That's true. It does it by
She can
itself.
open a bunch of tabs, tell it to work, and then she can leave. Come back half an hour later, and she might have a bunch of deals with promo codes. I'm just saying. All right. That's like the one killer use case. And refreshing the stupid Podcast Connect page just so I can publish the Private Tech Daily Show. Still use it every day because that's most useful. One other ChatGPT change, they actually tweeted this, that ChatGPT voice mode is now in combination with the text mode in the app. So you can actually start a conversation, use voice mode, and actually speak back and forth to ChatGPT. But it won't be locked to that like glowing orb screen where you can just have voice. You can actually go back and forth, truly multimodal, and things like if you're asking for a location or something on a map, then it can actually show the map results in voice mode, and you also see the transcription as you're talking to it, so you can read it and listen to it. So nice that you can actually do both at the same time, back and forth, all of that. That's live right now. In the ChatGPT app. So yeah, I wish Gemini would make a good Mac app. That's, I don't know, unrelated, but I just want that. Because I have tried Gemini a couple times since we talked about it last week, and I'm like, you know what, I would use this more. I just need a Mac app. Anyway, I'm trying to build a shortcut with the API, but we'll see. We'll see. And okay, last couple things before we do our gift guide. I posted this everywhere. Went a little viral on Threads as you do. Or no, on X, because a bunch of people were like, that feature's been around for 6 months, dummy. It's like, okay, well, I just got it. So can I be excited about it? This is Amazon. If you're going to return something in Amazon, previously they would give you the QR code and you would have to like download that as a file or an image on your phone and then bring it to whatever. But now I just got this feature. I want to know if you have it or have used it. When you do a return through Amazon and you're going to take it to the UPS store, you can add the pass to Apple Wallet. And then you can just pull up the Apple Wallet pass when you're in the UPS. They scan it and you're good. You do have to manually delete the pass once you're done unless you want a bunch of returns in your phone. But a bunch of people were like, this has been around for a while now. It's like, okay, buddy. Well, do you have this? Have you tried this?
I don't do Amazon returns, so I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, because your wife does it.
I'm not allowed to buy or return things. No, I
just so you don't know.
I shouldn't say that. That's not entirely true. It's very rare that I buy something from Amazon. when I do, it's like, hey, I'm buying this thing. But since my wife is the one who does the Amazon account, she gets the email if it was going to be returned. So I don't even get the emails from Amazon. So I have no idea.
Oh, I see. Well, I just got it because I return a lot of stuff to UPS for Amazon. And I like being able to add it to my pass.
I'm going to tell my wife, though, again, because I'm just going to take this whole segment of this podcast and let her listen to agentic shopping browsers and returns.
Please tell me her reaction to learning that the agentic browsers can do what I said, because I'd be curious what she thinks about that. And lastly, before our gift guide, you put this article in and I didn't know. And so you have to tell me, do I need to change a setting? Because supposedly X is displaying users' location. What happened here?
Okay, so this was a really interesting thing that happened where,
Yes, you there.
I'm going to try to not get political.
Please don't.
But the thing that happened was like there was this exchange on where it said something like, we should be able to tell where an account is from, whatever. And so the head of product was like, give me 24 hours or something like that. So they did it. And they added this feature that shows the supposed location of an account, where it's located. The problem was I think what the argument was going to be is like, oh, all of whatever side you're on, everybody from the other side is probably like a foreign troll. Okay. Well, what happened was it turned out a lot of the very right-wing accounts were not as they looked like. They were not U.S. accounts, right? They're super patriotic U.S. accounts, but actually they're like in Bulgaria or something like that. And so it kind of backfired in that way. But also, I think it's terrible. Here's the thing. I don't really want my account. I actually I didn't realize that this was true, but I was like, why does my account say the city I live in? I don't want it to say the city I live in. So you can actually turn that part of it off. But if you tap on the joined by date, it'll show the location, like where the country that it's located in, right?
Account based in the United States.
Which is true. Unfortunately, then there's a little flag. It's like, this account might not actually be located there because they've used a VPN recently. I'm like, the problem is, guess what? Private cloud compute. If you're using Safari on any computer and you log into X, you're using a VPN on a Mac, right? Like, and so it's automatic.
Turn private cloud relay off.
Yeah, I said private cloud compute. Sorry, I meant the wrong. But but it's on by default.
Yeah, it's on by default.
And so it's like people are just using it, and it's like showing them as being a VPN. It's like, oh, they might not be located in the U.S. I'm like, dude, really? I've lived here my whole life. I did leave the country recently, and I probably connected to X, so that's probably why. But yeah.
What date did you join?
November of 2008.
2008, you beat me.
I'm
OG. June 2009.
I'm an OG Twitter user.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty back there. You know, can I just say, in the history of like branding, it has become so clear how strong of a brand Twitter is, because I hear on pretty much any podcast, I hear celebrities like the guys on the Smartless show. Everyone still says Twitter.
Yeah.
And everyone still says tweet. And that those two terms, I feel like, will, one, continue to live on for however long, but it was so clear how good that branding was and how culturally significant, even though it never reached the user base of Instagram or Facebook or whatever, like it was pervasive. Like Twitter and tweet and just those concepts. And it still makes me nostalgic, and I miss that it's not called that anymore.
I mean, I bet you put together enough money, you could just buy it.
Listen,
probably
if enough of you buy pins.
If enough of you buy 1,000 pins.
Yeah. No, don't do that. What you can do is go to join.primarytech.fm, and if we ever earn enough, we will buy it back and rename it Twitter. We'll rebrand it to Twitter. All right, let's do our gift guide.
As early as 2026.
as early as 2026. All right, we have 3 items each we're going to recommend, and this is our personal tech. And Jason, why don't you go first? What is your first gift recommendation?
Okay, my first gift recommendation are AirPods 4 with noise cancellation. And right now, I think they're like $110 for Black Friday stuff. I wanted to recommend the AirPods Pro 3, which I love. I highly recommend them to anyone. But the AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation, I think the ones I saw at Walmart were like $110 or something, but these are even just still $120. The noise cancellation on them, very good. right?
good.
They've improved the fit of them. The sound is very good from like, especially if what you're doing is listening to us talk on a podcast or listening to music, all that kind of stuff. Highly recommend. They even get some of the features that they released recently that are for the AirPods Pro, right? And so I just find them to be a great. I carry a pair of them in my bag because there are times where I forget to bring my AirPods Pro, and so then I always just have these around, and they're a great backup. So that's my first one.
Those are great headphones. Yeah, I reviewed them on the channel. Highly recommend. So all these links, I'm going to do. Jason doesn't have affiliate links, so I'll put my affiliate links in. I'll put affiliate links in the show notes because I am allowed. Because I answer to no one.
Okay,
I answer to no one. All right, my first recommendation. I'm all about Qi 2 and fast charging, but I'm not going to talk about a desktop charger or a MagSafe battery. If you're thinking about a gift for yourself or for others, then I'm going to recommend a car charger. This is the ESR. It's their new Qi 2 25-watt car charger. A couple things I like about this. One, it is going to fast charge. It has a cooling system built in, and that actually allows for faster wireless charging in my experience in testing these things. It comes with the little adapter, so a dual port adapter is included. So you don't have to get another little car adapter. It has that. It has the cable. I like how this thing attaches to the air conditioner vent. It has this little like hook thing, and as you screw it, the hook like retracts and it tightens against the air conditioning vent, so that's really nice. You can move it around, adjust the angle. It's got a ball joint on the top, and it's on sale right now on Black Friday. You can it's typically $70. You can get it for like $50, and it is a little more expensive. Like you can get cheaper ones, but I think this is a really good one if you want fast charging in the car, and or someone that just spends a lot of time in the car, or if you live like me, you live someplace hot, and sometimes having your phone on these little mounts, like it stops charging because the sun is beating on it in certain times of year. The fact that this has cooling, I think, will actually help that, and the brightness of the screen won't go to 0 because it's getting too hot. So yeah, the ESR one.
Can I just say one thing about that though? If you don't have one of the cigarette lighter outlets, fast charging is pointless because the USB, if you're charging from a USB-A port especially, you're never going to get that. Like my Tesla, if I plug that thing in, it always says slow charging. And I have one of the whatever you recommended last time. Yeah. And I'm like, it's fine because it's just sitting there charging while I'm driving. It's not like I'm using it to watch videos while I'm driving. I'm definitely not watching videos while I'm driving. So it's not draining the battery at all, but it's like, it's unfortunate. I wish that cars would upgrade the wattage of those ports.
For sure. And I think the newer cars have like 60, 65 watt USB-C ports, but that's very new cars. But if you have an actual, like the cigarette lighter thing, which people get mad when you call it that now. What are you supposed to call it?
I don't know what you're supposed to call it, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. I mean, that's what it was when I was a kid. Like mine literally had like you push it in and it heats up.
The cigarette charging port. How about if we call it that? You charge your cigarettes in this port.
That's what you do. All right, what's your second pick?
What was my second pick? I'm going to go with this Anker Nano. What did I call this thing, Steven? I don't remember.
I have it here on Amazon. It's the Anker Nano portable charger, 10,000 milliamp hour, 45 watt max compact power bank.
Thank you. It's a very long name. It's great. It has a retractable cable. It charges at 45 watts. It also has an extra USB-C and USB-A port on the top. This cable that that I retracted and now I can't get back in will charge a MacBook fast charging at 45 watts. It'll also charge this. You can plug this into your outlet to charge this back at fast charging. Right. It has a little display that when you push the button, it'll tell you what the capacity is. It'll also tell you like the battery health. It'll tell you what wattage it is charging the device that it's charging. It's very small. I throw this in my bag. It saves me a ton. It's 10,000 milliamp hours, which means you can charge a phone like twice, right? And you can charge the battery on a MacBook Air pretty well. And I really like it. There are other versions of this that Anker makes. Some of them are slim, whatever. I really like this one. I would recommend it highly if you're gonna. This is a great gift for somebody who you're like, I don't travel a lot. Do you go to soccer games? Do you sit at band concerts? Do you like ever find yourself later in the day needing to charge up? Like, just keep one of these in your car.
This is I'm actually going to buy one today. I not that I need.
I sold you,
but you sold me. I do want it.
I love it.
It's compact, like because the only ones that I have with retractable cables, like I have plugs with retractable cables, and then I have this guy, it's a great power bank and it has a retractable cable, but it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and I don't like carrying this in a bag.
So I will say, this is my recommendation. Anker also makes a different version of this that doesn't have a retractable cable, but does have an AC plug on it, which is great because then you can actually use it as your plug and run it to your laptop.
Yeah.
Or you can just plug it into. This is what I bought these for my kids and my wife, so I just see them plugged in around the house all the time, and then they just take it and they just go. Like it's kind of it's a nice little combination. But this one's smaller. It's the same capacity as those. It has a retractable cable.
Yeah,
and the 45 watts is the thing. It'll fast charge your phone. It'll fast charge your laptop. It's great.
It is $40 too right now, which is
insane.
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that today as soon as we're done. Okay, my second pick. But it's an obvious pick, but I'm going to put a caveat. AirTag is on sale. You can get a 4-pack for $65, which is pretty great. You know, they used to be $30 for one. You can get 4 for $65. But if you're going to get AirTag as a gift for somebody, don't just get them the AirTag. Get them something to put in it. I have a bunch of stuff, like I still use this MagSafe wallet that has an AirTag. And you're like, why? You can get MagSafe wallets with Find My. No. I want my wallet to have precision Find My, where the arrow on screen points to it, and I want it to be an AirTag. And if you get one like this, it kind of shows off the AirTag, then your little engraving actually shows through. So get AirTag, but something to go with it. I'll put a link to a MagSafe wallet with an AirTag. You can also get the keychains. I use Apple's leather keychain for the AirTag. Have used it since it came out. So get an AirTag with something. If you have a friend who loses stuff a lot, AirTag is the way to go.
Okay, I'm going to change my third one, Steven. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's on sale right now, but I am going to recommend, because you convinced me. I'm gonna follow Steven's thread here, and I'm gonna recommend the Nomad Tracking Card Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is a new card from Nomad. It's only $40 though. The difference, so I have one of the, I don't have my wallet out here, but I have one of the Nomad cards. It's great. It wirelessly charges. It's like, It has a little light indicator. You reviewed all of these. The new one looks like a credit card.
Yeah.
Why? Because if someone steals your wallet or picks it up, they won't take the tracking card out and leave it behind because it just looks like a credit card. So it's less likely to get like removed from the card and be unable to then track your card. So, and the only reason I threw this out there is I have a very thin like Toomey wallet that I could not put an AirTag in, and I don't want the AirTag, but this is great because it's a little thicker than a credit card, but not a lot. And so you can fit it into one slot and not lose your wallet. So that's going to be my recommendation for my third one.
That's a great pick. And the nice thing is, if you had used a Find My tracking card before, you might think that was like you had to send it back because you couldn't charge it. But that's not true anymore. You can actually charge the wireless tracking card. So you can literally throw this Nomad card on one of your Qi chargers, whatever you charge your AirPods or iPhone on, and it will charge the card. And so you can reuse this card a bunch of times. They say it lasts for 18-month battery. I pre-ordered one just to have it and try it out because I have their Air version, which is not the Pro, but it looks like a tracking card. This one looks like a credit card. And so that's a great pick.
Yep.
All right. I have one more pick, but I told you I was going to surprise you with something. So I'll get to my third pick in a second. This is a new CoolSill charger. It's a power bank. So it actually has MagSafe on the back. So you can throw this on the back of your phone, but it is very, very thick for this reason. All right, you ready? Well, first of all, it has a kickstand on the back. Again, not unusual. Not unusual. It's got the kickstand there. This is Qi 2 25 watts, so that's the latest standard for fast charging, but get ready for this. Ready? Boom! It actually rotates 90 degrees, and now you have an Apple Watch charger right here.
I thought it was a camera. I was like, what am I looking at? It's so dark.
I know. It looks crazy, but it has the kickstand, so you can literally put it on a tabletop, charge your phone, charge your Apple Watch, and it's a power bank. And so you could do all of that. Plus, it has the USB-C port, on the side. So, you could plug it in. You can use this as your travel charger to charge your phone and Apple Watch, but then also as a MagSafe battery as you're on the go that day. And then it's, all right there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, you told me I could have one bonus item, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
This is a pro tip, actually. This might be a gift idea. I don't know. I can't actually find this product on their website anymore, but there's lots of similar options. If you do travel, if you're traveling for the holidays, even if you don't travel a lot, but you're getting on a plane, I'm going to recommend you buy an EU USB-C charger. Okay. This is like a 45 watt USB-C charger, I believe. The reason for that is they will fit on an airplane. Most airlines, even in the US, have the universal where you can plug in basically like anything, but you try plugging in a 2-prong AC connector, forget it. It's just going to lie on the floor. It's like, I can't do this. There's not nearly enough friction. But these guys snap in. And so even if you're not traveling to Europe, even if you're never traveling to Europe, this is the charger I take on an airplane because it will stay on basically every single airplane outlet I've ever been on. So that's just a pro tip. I don't know where to find this one, so that's why I can't make it as a gift recommendation. I don't know if I'm sure that Anker sells a version of this. You can also just buy like the World Adapter kit from Apple and stick it into one of these like Apple, whatever. This is a MacBook Air charger or whatever. Oh, that's fine. But I just highly recommend throw that in your bag if you are going to travel.
Would this one work?
If it's an EU charger, sure. It's just the way that EU chargers work. They like snap in and like they just, there's a different kind. Also, probably they don't get used very often. And so like they aren't nearly as loose. So
yeah, that's the thing.
There you go.
All right. My actual third pick, this is I didn't know this thing existed. My wife ordered this as a gift for one of her friends, and the box came in and it said Andar on it. Which, if you didn't know, Andar is the company that makes great leather products and also who I partnered with for my green leather iPhone 17 case, the Hunter Green case. So I looked at the box and I was like, oh, did Andar send me something as a end of year thank you, whatever? And then I looked at the shipping label and it was to my wife. I said, oh, interesting.
No, Andar sent your wife something as the end of the year.
How did you know? And so she bought this for a friend, and it is not necessarily tech related, kind of, but apparently Andar makes it's called the Wallace, and it's designed to hold water bottles that have water like Stanley or a Walla or whatever, where the handle comes out the side. And so this is a nice like carrying case for your water, but also so the handle comes out of the case and the case like snuggles the cup or whatever. But it also has a pocket on the front for a watch. It also has a key leash, put an AirTag on there. And there's even a place like for chapstick, I think. And so anyway, I didn't know this thing existed. And apparently Andar makes a bunch of other products that are not phone cases that I didn't realize. And so she was very excited to, hopefully her friend doesn't listen to this podcast. I don't think she does.
When you say that it has a place for chapstick, you just mean it has like a pocket, right? Like, I mean, you don't need a specific designated spot for chapstick.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. She actually ordered 2 different cases. The other one she ordered had a place specifically for chapstick. This one does not. But you can put it in this nice, pocket in the front where you put your phone. I'm sure your chapstick would also fit in there. But comes in multiple colors. I don't know. For your spouses out there, if they like carrying their water around, but they want a nice case, and it has a sling. Because that's the thing. I see people carrying around these Stanley cups like an animal, and it can never leave their hand because what else are you going to do? Well, you put the Stanley in one of these or another water cup, and now you got a sling. And you can put your phone and other things in there. It can act as like your little day bag or whatever.
Inspired by the iPhone Pocket.
It's sold out everywhere, Jason. Can't get one. Even if you wanted to get one, you can't get one.
Sold out in 10 places because that's the only places they sell them.
Sold out everywhere. Did you also see, we didn't talk about this, but the accessibility-focused MagSafe grip that Apple was selling?
No.
Did you see that?
No, I've been at a F1 race.
You were taking pictures of Beyonce or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you were there. No, the Hikawa. All right, the last thing we'll mention, then we'll go to the bonus episode. But this is the Hikawa phone grip. It is a MagSafe phone grip. Comes in 2 colors. It's already sold out. I was going to buy one, but it's already sold out. Comes in chartreuse, which is like a neon green, and then a crater color. Crater color is sold out first. But apparently this was developed in partnership with those with different disabilities. And so this is specifically made for those who maybe struggle to hold their phone. The grip is made specifically for that. But it's a MagSafe grip, and it's a use case. But it's interesting. It's another partnership because this is made in partner with Hikawa, the brand. And so in like the span of 2-3 weeks, 2 co-branded products. Pretty interesting.
I don't like the look of that one. It looks like something from like an alien movie where it's like just growing on the back of it.
Yeah. The neon, you can get the neon green one. Only 2 colors though. There's no black.
Yeah, interesting.
But just I guess to make sure you can see it easily.
Sure.
The neon green might.
Sure.
That's one of the reasons why my wife was like, you know what, I'll take the orange phone because I could see it wherever.
I will tell you, Lots of orange iPhone Pro Maxes at the F1 race.
I'm sure.
Everywhere.
Did you see what phone Beyonce or Jay-Z were using?
They did not have phones out. They didn't even wear their little key, like their passes. Someone else did that for them. Beyonce does not
They
carry
have a handler
phone.
wear their passes. They probably use a
Beyonce-
Virtu phone.
I don't know, but
No,
they don't carry phones.
That's
Did you see Beyonce's outfit? There was no room to be carrying a phone.
Fair enough. All right, on that note, we're going to record a bonus episode. We're going to talk about smart home stuff. And so I hope you enjoyed this special Thanksgiving week episode. If you want to support the show, you can get ad-free version, get our bonus episodes, Primary Tech Daily, our unedited feed, all of that at join.primarytech.fm. You can also support us directly on Apple Podcasts, but then you don't get chapters and subscriber audio. You can listen to a past episode all about that. 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts would be greatly appreciated. Help us get to 400 5-star reviews. We're only 4 away, so we need 4 of you. But actually, why don't all of you, and then we can have several thousand 5-star reviews. Would be amazing. We'll become a 5-star podcast again. And links to everything we talked about down in the show notes below. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.